Fighting is not good when you're on a plane.
They'll go to jail if they keep doing that stuff. I would be really scared. I would not like that if someone did that to me.
They should know better if they're like adults.
They're a grown-up and they have to play a good role model.
I think it's very disrespectful.
You can distract the pilot if it gets that bad.
That is so unsafe.
Tell them, girl. See, even children understand how you should behave on a plane, even if they don't always do it. But the Federal Aviation Administration recently released that video as a gentle reminder to us adults after a year-long uptick in unruly behavior. On Tuesday, the agency sent a letter to airports across the country. It's asking them to monitor alcohol service, particularly to-go cups. The FAA is also calling on airport police to arrest more people who are hostile or violent on flights. This comes days after passengers duct-taped a man to his seat aboard a Frontier Airlines flight. The man allegedly groped and assaulted members of the crew. Joining us now is Sara Nelson, Union President of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. Ms. Nelson, good to see you again. Welcome.
It's good to see you, Joshua.
So what is going on in terms of being, flying these increasingly unfriendly skies? I mean, what's it like to be a flight attendant these days? Has it always been this unruly and we just never talked about it? Or is something really different happening right now?
I'll tell you, Joshua, the fines and also the penalties, the federal penalties that are in place are because our union fought for those in the late 90s, because this issue of unruly passengers became something that we had to deal with on the job. But it was typically a bad day. It was typically a one-off in a 30-year career. It was not something that flight attendants were having to face every day when they go to work. We took a survey of our members. 85% of them said that they've had to deal with an unruly passenger in the last 6 months. And 71% of them said that they've had 5 events or more in the last 6 months. So this is pervasive. This is something we've never seen before. And I just want to note the FAA putting out that ad with their the staff's children speaking in that ad to adults is really symbolic of what we've seen on the plane. The children are wearing the masks. The children are following the rules. And about 18 months ago, people were wondering how children would be able to do that. That was all the talk. But they want to follow the rules. They are, and now they're telling the adults to too.
What does it take to be a flight attendant these days? I think people don't realize how tough that job can be on the toughest day. Is the bar higher now than it was in the past, just with everything that's happened in the last few years?
Look, it's really difficult. It's difficult for everyone. Everyone's at a stress level 10. Everyone needs a little help. We really want to lift up the helpers. For flight attendants going to work today, we are under the stress that many people are at work in grocery stores and in other places where people are on the front lines. And staffing is stretched to a minimum everywhere. We have operational issues that are stemming from that and other complications with trying to bring the airline industry back up to pace so quickly to meet demand. And people are frustrated. And so all of that is leading to a space where they're looking to take out their anger on us. They've also been led to believe that we're in conflict with each other. And so that's what we're seeing happen. And I want to be really clear. This is a relatively small group of people who are causing these problems, but they are louder than they've ever been. And they are more frequent than they've ever been. And what we had seen recently is that the other people who are around them don't necessarily know the procedures. They're focusing on having their own safe flight, and so they're not necessarily speaking up as much. We're trying to give room for those helpers and the people who really just want to have a safe, uneventful flight to speak up and help us keep order. I wonder what you think is behind this. I think it would be easy to blame it on our political climate in some ways. I'm sure there's an extrapolation to be made there. You mentioned that everyone's kind of turned up to 100 or to like a level 10 right now in terms of stress. Last night on our panel, comedian Josh Johnson, yes, same name, no, we're not related, had this thought about what might be going on. And I'd like to get your reaction to what that other Josh Johnson said. Watch. Okay.
I think that for the most part, what's really happening is it's showing that a lot of people really do view the people that serve them for any service as beneath them, and that's the only reason that you would feel comfortable or okay acting like that.
What do you make of that?
Well, I have to tell you that that is something that we have dealt with our entire careers, and that's why we've worked so hard to gain respect for flight attendants. That's why when the Me Too movement broke, we ran really hard to try to make the most out of that. And we asked CEOs around the industry to denounce the sexist past of the airline industry and lift up flight attendants as safety professionals. So I think that's something that we have been dealing with for decades. But this is something new. This is something different. And what's really stemming this aggravation in our society is that people have been kept in a space where they don't know what to believe. They've been told different narratives about what's going on in the country, and they don't know where to get their information, and public trust has been eroded. And when that happens, when people don't have a strong foundation to stand on, there's a lot of anxiety that's created from that. And we see that on our planes, and we see that especially now. We've seen it more so in the past 4 years, but especially since this last January.
Before I have to let you go, what's the one biggest change that you and your union would like to see to stem the tide of unruly passengers?
So I really want to applaud FAA Administrator Steve Dixon for sending out that letter, because there's more that we can do. Airports, airlines, law enforcement to coordinate together at the airports to make sure that we're keeping the problems on the ground. We can do more to educate passengers about the fact that you can't board an aircraft if you're inebriated. People have forgotten that you fly at a high altitude. That's going to affect you differently. There's a lot more that we can do to look out for these problems on the ground and make sure that they're not in a metal tube in the air where we can't pull over, where we can't call for help. And we just need to get that aircraft on the ground with everybody safe and sound.
You cannot board an aircraft if you are inebriated. Just repeating that for the benefit of the people in the back. Sara Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA. Good to talk to you again. Thanks very much.
Good to talk to you. Take care.